Hello friends, welcome back. Welcome to Knowledge Institute. I'm Pratap Bhosle. So first of all, sorry for not being able to upload any lectures in last 10 to 15 days. Actually, there were some restrictions because of the lockdown and there were some personal problems. Okay, but as I have announced in the group, from today we are going to continue with this lecture series, and I'm going to upload the lectures Monday to Friday. Okay, so let's consider that it would be not like that I will upload only one lecture. If time permits, I will upload more than one lecture in one day also. Okay, and the updates about that will be given in the channel and the group also. Okay, so I have already uploaded the first lecture, second lecture's notes in the group. Okay, and tomorrow's lecture will be specifically for the fluid mosaic model, and tomorrow's lecture will be very much useful for you. And whenever you go through these notes, okay, you will realize the kind of hard work I have done. Okay, and I challenge you that you will not going to get such kind of notes anywhere, because I am sorting out these notes from right now more than 10 books for every point and chapter. Okay, and why I'm doing this, it is for my own development also. Okay, so it's not advisable you to go through that much books. Okay, otherwise you will lose lots of time. Okay, so I'm doing that hard work for you. I just want you to believe in me and go through these notes. Okay, so in today's lecture, we are going to have a small introduction about the cell membrane and one previous year question paper about the isolation. Okay, so let's start with today's lecture. Okay, so those who have not purchased my book, okay, I request them to purchase this book, because this book contains the 22 years previous year question paper, which will be very useful for you. And as the new dates of the previous civil services prelims and the mains are, so you will have to give these 2 months at least for the optional preparation. And your approach will your upload, this book will be very useful, because okay, so right now most of you, what you should do, अगर आपको कोई भी एक टॉपिक करना है, if you want to do any topic, you just go through these books and go through the that topic and the questions asked on that topics first. Okay, in that way you will get an idea that what kind of questions have been already asked. Okay, and you should study in that way also. Okay, so and the notes part is I'm going to give you, and I'm giving you an assurance that before your this year's mains you will have all the notes of zoology. Okay, अभी जो मार्केट में नोट्स है ना, वो बहुत ही बल्कि है. दे आर नॉट अकॉर्डिंग टू व्हाट यू कैन रीड. ओके, वो इतना बल्कि है इसमें कि बहुत सी चीजें काम की भी नहीं हो सकती. ओके, not all of this, some of the notes are I'm talking about, but whatever the notes I'm giving you, they will be according to the previous year question papers mostly. Okay, and after all the sorting outs, जो मैं डायग्राम्स भी यूज कर रहा हूँ वो मैं हैंड रिटन डायग्राम्स यूज कर रहा हूँ. ओके, ऐसा नहीं है कि कहीं से भी उठा के किसी भी सेल की, ऑर्गेनेल की, किसी ऑर्गेनिज्म की मैंने डायग्राम पोस्ट किए. अगर such diagrams are very much difficult to draw, which are given in the books, but whenever you will see the handwritten diagrams by me, it will be very useful you to draw. Right, so join my telegram group if you haven't. Okay, so let's start with today's lecture. In today's lecture we are going to study about the cell membrane, short information. Okay, actually the cell membrane is consist of phospholipids. Okay, in that there are unilamellar ones and the multilamellar ones. The unilamellar ones are known as liposomes. Okay, and the multilamellar vesicles, and they are actually discovered by the Sir Alex Bangham. And to honor his discovery, sometimes they were named as Bangosomes. Okay, so let's start with the cell membrane. Okay, actually in this topic, if you have gone through the previous year question paper, you will understand that this kind of introduction of cell membrane has not been asked. There are direct questions about the fluid mosaic model. There are direct questions about the role of lipids in the fluidity. There are direct questions about the isolation. So it's very specific to one. Okay, And until and unless you see those previous year questions, you will not understand the depth of this point. Okay, in the syllabus it is only given that the structure and function of the cell and its organelle. Okay, but the questions are also asked upon the isolation and the study of cell. In 2019 only the question is asked, give the cell isolation techniques and how to study them, right? So such depth you will understand only through go to the question papers. So I'm just giving you a short introduction, then we'll go to the next part. Okay, in the cell membrane, it has the plasma membrane encloses the entire cell and it separates the internal contents of a cell from its surrounding. What does it say? Plasma membrane, it just contains all the cell inside it. All the cell organelles are inside the plasma membranes. This nucleus, this endoplasmic reticulum, this Golgi bodies, mitochondria, liposomes, microtubules, and all these are organelles are inside the plasma membrane. The membranes inside the cell which encloses cell organelles have properties similar to the plasma membrane. This membrane performs specialized functions such as oxidative phosphorylation, breakdown of macromolecules, and photosynthesis. Okay, photosynthesis in case of chloroplast, in case of plants. And what does it say? That all of these organelles are also made of this membrane, right? The nature of them and the plasma membrane is similar. Okay. Next is, and these organelles perform various functions inside the cell. Like the mitochondria has two layers. The inner layer has oxidative phosphorylation enzymes and F1 particles and all that. All the machinery, it is there in inner membrane. Okay, so it is just one of the functions of the membrane only. Okay, then it consists of mainly lipid, protein, and carbohydrate. These three are the main content of a membrane: lipid, protein, and carbs. Okay, other are derived from this. Okay, so these are the three main constituents of a cell membrane, along with like water is also there. In 2019, the question has been asked about the biochemical composition of the cell membrane, right? In that you will have to mention the lipid contain, protein contain, carbs contain, water contain, and other things also. Okay, we are going to see that question, but after the fluid mosaic model lectures, right? After the tomorrow's lecture. The next point is antipathic lipids containing hydrophobic and hydrophilic groups, namely phospholipids, glycolipids, cholesterol, are found in the membrane. Okay, why they are antipathic? They have the hydrophilic and the hydrophilic groups, right? Next, the cell membranes are asymmetric, dynamic, and fluid in nature. Okay, there is a separate point under this introduction. Okay, we will going to study the symmetry in the membrane. We will going to study the fluidity of the membrane because of what they are occurring. Okay, so it consists of continuous double layer of lipid molecules in which proteins are dispersed. Okay, what the cell membrane is actually, it is just a continuous layer of what? Lipid molecules, and in this, in between, the proteins are somewhere dispersed, right? It is selectively permeable and acts as a barrier for ions and molecules for entry or exit from the cell. This biological membrane also has some proteins which allows entry and exit of ions inside or outside the cell. Okay. Exocytosis, endocytosis occurs with the help of plasma membrane. Okay, and all the exocytosis and the exocytosis means what? When the cell throws out something, right? And endocytosis of a cell takes out in something. It occurs with the help of plasma membrane. Okay. Then adjacent cells exchange material through gap junction. Okay. There are adjacent cells to these two cells also. They exchange material through the gap junctions which are formed from the plasma membrane. So this chart gives a comparative account of different membranes in the humans, like the myelin sheath, the paramecium, and the E. coli. Okay, So these are the contents of the different contents of proteins, lipids, and sterols. Okay. So even if you have not remember the 3 example, at least remember the 2. Okay, and these figures could be helpful. But what's more important is that the cholesterol is the sterol type in myelin sheath, and stigmasterol is in case of paramecium. Okay, next. Now the fluid mosaic model of the cell membrane. Okay, as this is an introductory lecture, okay, so we are going to see only an introductory part of fluid mosaic model. That tomorrow we will going to see in details the type of proteins, lipids, and glycoproteins. Okay, it is a very huge topic and a huge point, so I could not accommodate all the introductory part and the fluid mosaic model in one lecture. So that's why I have given the separate lecture for fluid mosaic. So just understand the basic points of the fluid mosaic model. Sometimes you may be asked intro about the fluid mosaic model along with some other big questions. At that time, you will have to give the fluid mosaic model in short, and how is given here. How you could give that fluid mosaic model in short, it is given here. So let's start with it. In 1935, the Davson and Daniel proposed a lipid bilayer model of membrane. Okay, but he wasn't able to give much details about it. So that's why in 1972, the Jonathan Singer and the Garth Nicholson developed the model which we are going to study, and it has some specific structure given by him. What does it say? It consists of a double layer of proteins and phospholipids, and he calls a membrane as a fluid in nature. It acts as a two-dimensional solvent for proteins. Both lipids and proteins can have rotational and lateral movements. So these are the movements, rotational and lateral. Okay, this is the separate point, 2 to 3 page separate point. Okay, but these are the postulates given by him. Okay. Then the phospholipid bilayer forms a fluid sea in which protein float like iceberg. Okay. Suppose this is a lipid bilayer membrane. What he says is that there are proteins which floats in it like a sea. Okay, so this is suppose the outside of the cell or the extracellular matrix, and this is the intracellular matrix. So such proteins flows on this lipid bilayer plasma membrane or the lipid bilayer membrane, like it is like a sea. Okay, then the membrane is in constant state of flux, shifting and changing, but still retains its uniform structure. Okay, even it is fluid in nature, but it regains or retains its basic structure. Okay, the word mosaic is in reference to many different kinds of proteins dispersed in the phospholipid bilayer membrane. Okay, the hydrophobic or nonpolar region of the lipid face each other at the core of the bilayer. The hydrophilic polar regions face outward. What does it say? This is one lipid molecule of a bilayer, right? These are what? Hydrophilic, and these hydrophilic are, these are what? Tails which are hydrophobic. This face one another, right? Then the cholesterol molecules are interspersed in the lipid portion of the bilayer, making a membrane even less permeable and decreases the visibility. In between these, from time to time, there are cholesterol molecules are there. Okay. In these lipid molecules, there are cholesterol molecules are embedded. And what does they do? They make the membrane less permeable and decrease its flexibility. Right. Next, the globular proteins are randomly embedded in the bilayer. Membrane proteins are categorized into. The membrane proteins are basically main two types, that the peripheral proteins and the integral proteins. Okay, The suppose this is the lipid bilayer. The integrated proteins are like this, they are across this membrane, but the peripheral proteins does not go direct contact with the hydrophobic region. They are somewhere here, right, and they are attached with some force with the extracellular membrane, right. They are not directly attached with this hydrophobic region. They does not cross to the hydrophobic region. So sometimes they are covalently attached, sometimes they are electrostatically attached with this membrane. Okay, so we are going to study in the next lecture the details of it. Okay, so these are the basic type: extrinsic proteins and the intrinsic proteins. Okay, and these are the examples. Cytochrome C of mitochondria is extrinsic. Intrinsic is the hormone receptors. Okay. The next part components of the fluid mosaic model is the glycoprotein. Right? These are what proteins with the carbohydrates. What does they do? They transport, they catalyze the transport of substances such as negatively charged ions across the membrane. And some others act as specific receptors for various molecules or as highly specific markings. A few aggregations of protein molecules form pores through which small polar molecules may enter. Okay. Most of the glycoproteins can show slow lateral movement in the membrane. Slow lateral movement means they move here or here. Okay, suppose this is a glycoprotein, they can move here or here. These are the lateral movements. Okay. Then the membrane bilayer thickness is roughly around 5 nanometer thick. And the hydrocarbon chain orientation in the bilayer, this is the hydrophobic tail and the hydrophilic head. Okay. So this was the basic idea of the plasma fluid mosaic model. Okay, and so next part will be the functions. What are the functions of the plasma membrane? Okay, the questions have not been asked yet about the specific function of the plasma membrane, but it can be. And I have drawn a very simplified diagram. Of course, it is from a reference book, but I have simplified it for you. Okay, so you can just enlist all the functions in one diagram. Okay, let's see how. The membrane fusion is, we can say, a basic function of the plasma membrane, because most of the activities which plasma membranes do, they are because of the membrane fusion, right? So the first example or the first case can be the budding of vesicle. Like the budding of vesicles means what? From the Golgi apparatus, we know the lysosomes are formed. Okay. So the lysosomes or any other vesicles are also formed from the Golgi apparatus. So these vesicles are buds out of the Golgi apparatus, and they are formed out of the plasma membranes, right? Inner plasma membranes, of course, that of organelles. But once they have been buds, it gives rise to the second function, which occurs because of the plasma membranes. It's called as what? Exocytosis. Whatever the digested materials are there inside this vesicle, they need to be thrown out of the body, and it occurs with the help of exocytosis. The plasma membrane helps by releasing the internal contents out of the cell by exocytosis, right? Then there is the third function, which is called as the endocytosis. The plasma membrane also take inside if there are some useful macromolecules out of the cell are there, like the nutrients. Okay, so they are taken inside the cell by forming a vacuole-like structures because of the plasma membrane. It takes inside it and it forms a vesicle. Okay, and whatever the macromolecules are ingested or endocytosed inside the cell, they need to be digested. So the digestive vesicles can fuse with this endocytosed macromolecules, and it forms the fourth function of the plasma membrane, that is the fusion of vesicles, right? And what does it do ultimately? It just digests the macromolecules which are taken inside the cell. Okay. Then the next functions can be the phagocytosis of the external particles. Not only the virus, they can be other bacteria, bacteriophages, right? Some other harmful macromolecules also. Okay, so they are phagocytosed by the plasma membrane. Okay, by the process of phagocytosis, and it occurs with the help of plasma membrane. Okay, so this is also one of the functions. Next is, we know that the sperm and egg fuse at the time of fertilization. At that time also there is a role of this plasma membrane only, right? So it allows the sperm to enter inside the egg and to fuse. Okay, and whatever the membrane involved is the plasma membrane. Next is the cell division or the cell membrane separation. Wherever the cell divides, it finally also needs the plasma membrane to be broke away from the cells. Okay, at that time also the function of the plasma membrane comes. Okay, so these are the functions I have enlisted about the plasma membrane. I hope you have gone through it, and I recommend you to draw this diagram also, because this diagram almost enlists many functions of the plasma membrane. Okay, so the next we will going to study the last year's questions of explain the isolation and the methodology of the study of cell membrane. It was a 15-mark question, and let's study how the isolation. And I guarantee you that you are not going to get this notes anywhere of the isolation and the study. Okay, so not even these diagrams. I have taken it of course from the reference book, but I have compiled it at one place, right? So let's start with the isolation of cell membrane. Okay, so there are various techniques out of this. There is a technique for the plasma membrane only, and it says that take the cytoplasm and the aqueous extract of the organelles, and you just expose them to a centrifuge at 1,50,000 G force, right? G is the unit of centrifugal force. Okay, so once you centrifuge at that high speed, okay, what happens is that you get a supernatant and a pellet. Pellet is the just lower portion, you can say, and the supernatant is the upper layer part, which is somewhat clearer than the baser part. Okay, so in the supernatant you get the cytosol, enzymes, RNA, inorganic ions. But in the pellet you get organelles, ribosomes, storage granules, chloroplast in case of plants, and the lysosomes, all the heavy parts of all the heavy organelles of the cell you get in the pellet region of the test tube, right, or the centrifuge tube. So this is the very basic method of the cell organelles separation. But we also need to collect, if we also need to collect these organelles individually, then there is another methods are also there, and the Albert Clouding, the Christian Dove, and George Pallad, they have developed these methods to separate the organelles from the cytosol and from each other. Okay, so this is the method is what called as cell fractionation. And how you do the cell fraction is basically you just increase the centrifugal speed step by step, or by a gradual increment. You just increase the speed of centrifugation along with the time. So at the each interval of centrifugal force and time, you get the different organelles collected separately. Okay, so the first step is that you just get the tissue homogeneous and just expose it to the centrifugal force, a low centrifugal force of 1000 G for 10 minutes. Okay, but even at this low centrifugal force, in the pellet region, of course, the heavy organelles are going to be collected first. So in that, whole cells, nuclei, cytoskeleton, plasma membrane, all those are collected separately in the pellet region. Now you just take the supernatant of this, okay, and supernatant, and expose the center supernatant, means this upper part, to a centrifugal force of 20,000 G for 20 minutes. What does it do? That it further separates the heavy metals from this supernatant. And what does it gives? In the pellet region, mitochondria, lysosome, peroxisome, all these are converted in the pellet region. So you can separate out this. So you have already separated the whole cell, cytoskeleton, plasma membranes. Now you have separated mitochondria, lysosome, peroxisomes. Now you collect the supernatant further and expose this to higher centrifugal force for more time, like for 80,000 G and for 60 minutes. Now in the pellet region, what will collect it? It will, the microsomes and the small vesicles will be collected in the pellet region. Now the final steps, you collect the supernatant, you will expose it to 1,50,000 G for 180 minutes. So finally you will get the lightest material, the ribosomes, large macromolecules in the pellet region, and you can separate it out here. Okay, so this technique is what called as a cell fractionation. Okay, so this is a simplified diagram. It will be useful. It will be very easy for you to draw. Okay, so the next is the isopycnic, or the same density centrifugation. The isopycnic is just depend on the density gradient along the test tube. And how does it work? Let's see. The fractionated cell organelles can be further purified using isopycnic centrifugation or the buoyant density differences, because the protein and lipid ratio in organelles. Every organelle has different protein to lipid ratio, whether that is mitochondria, ribosome, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, or even the cell plasma membrane or the cell membrane. All of these have what? Different protein to lipid ratio. Okay, and because of this characteristic, we can further separate these fractionated cell organelles, which in the earlier method we have already separated the organelles. Now if we want to separate it further, then we can use this isopycnic centrifugation method. And what is the procedure? Is that the procedure is that in the centrifugal tube, you just fill it with the solution which have a solute. You just take the solution of sucrose, right? And what does sucrose do? It has a density gradient along this. And what is mean by a density gradient? A dense region will be this, and less dense region will be this. This is called as what? Density gradient. And the density is increases from what? Top to bottom. So this is the kind of density gradient. You can form this by adding sucrose inside the medium. And once you have prepared this medium with the sucrose density gradient, you can apply the mixture or the sample on the top layer, and you just centrifuge it. But what happens is that this sample has all the organelles with the different lipid to protein ratio, means with the different density gradient, but the heavier or the highly dense organelles start to leave this region first. Okay, so that's why the dense organelles will form a band in the lower region quickly, compared to a lighter organelles. Like suppose this sample has only two components. One is less dense and another is more dense. So the more dense organelle will leave this area, will leave this top area, and will start to settle down. Okay, when this will come to this, consider this the light material also start to leave this region. Okay, what, because of what? See, whenever the centrifugal force acts on this, whenever you centrifuge this tube and centrifugal force or act on this sample, you know what the centrifugal force does. It expel out. It just is the force acting away from the center. So this all the molecules start to move away, but the highly dense molecules will move faster, right? Because the density affect them more as compared to the lighter one. Okay, so that's why you get the band of dense material below the band of less dense material. Okay, and once you get the this high dense material at the bottom, you can just collect in a different different tube or the different collecting vessels, and you can just collect this lighter dense material in a second collection vessel. Okay, so in this way, because of the density difference, you can separate the two components or more than two components also. Okay, but provided that all the three should have a different densities or the lipid to protein ratio, right? Next, the method, another method is to separate the plasma membrane from the cell is the adhesion method. Okay, and this method actually I have drawn out from a research paper, so I haven't found it in any book, but so it's useful actually, and I've just summarized it in very short, right, for your usefulness. So what does it say? It actually said that just take a petri dish or a surface, apply a polylysine or glass beads along with, and what does they do? They just allow the cells to stick to them. Okay, and you just add you just add a lysine solution or the something which cause the lysis of the cell into this dish. It will just lyse all the cells in the smaller fragments, but as this part is in contact with the cell, okay, this part will remain attached to this, right, of the cell membrane, right? So once you have washed this entire other part, what will give you ultimately the isolated plasma membrane, the plasma membrane which was remained sticking to that surface. So this is the basically adhesion method, and in this method we have used we should just clean this petri dish first with the hydrochloric acid plus methanol for 30 minutes. After that, we will add polylysine coating. Okay, so the coating will fix itself onto the petri dish, and now it will allow now we will allow the cells to attach to itself this coating, and after that we will add ice cold distilled water inside it. So that's why the cell will lyse, right? These are the hypertonic solutions, so the cell will lyse on its own, and finally the fragments will be thrown out, and whatever the remaining will be, that will be what? The cell plasma membrane fragments which are remain attached to this polylysine coating. So in this way we can separate the plasma membrane for study. Now to study these plasma membranes, so there are various methods. Okay, so you can construct this answer in many ways, like the qualitative analysis, the quantitative analysis. Okay, so I have given it in the way such a way of in the way of the techniques of analysis, like with the help of microscope, obviously, with the electron microscope, fluorescent microscope, confocal microscope, you can study how these different organelles are there. Also, along with the microscopic techniques, you can study like the electron microscopy, transmission electron microscopy, scanning electron microscopy, all you can employ in the microscopic techniques. In the spectroscopic techniques, there are different spectroscopic techniques you might have heard about, the mass spectroscopic, right? There are others also, NMR, XR, or NMR, and then the IR, right, UV. So all of these spectroscopic techniques you can employ whenever you have to analyze the content of the fractionated protein or the cell, uh, contents. Okay, so what we have done with this earlier methods of the isolation is we have isolated cell into the organelles, we have isolated organelles into further parts, we have just taken all the isolates at the one place. Now we have to identify the contents of that. So this identification will be done by this cell membrane studies, right? So you can just observe their external features by the microscopy, or by spectroscopic you can also quantify them, even qualitative analysis, okay, with the help of spectroscopic techniques like the mass spectroscopy, NMR, IR, all that. Along with that, if you just want to have the chemical analysis of the cell constituents, you can just expose it to various chemical analytical techniques, or the chemical reactions for nitrogen, chemical reactions for phosphorus, for phosphates, right? All these you can employ to analyze these membranes. Okay, so this is it for the lecture. Okay, so today's lecture was only an introductory lecture for the cell membrane. Tomorrow's lecture will be very much important, because tomorrow we are going to study about what? Fluid mosaic model. Okay, and the question will definitely be asked on the fluid mosaic model. Okay, so don't miss tomorrow's lecture. Okay, and if possible I will upload it before 5 p.m. also. Just stay connected with the group. Okay, and have a nice day.